Good evening, friends. Welcome to the Bill Crane Report with Duane Weiss. We're here to bring you up to date on the happenings in the world and the state and the town and all that kind of good stuff, and share our opinions with you.
We always have opinions.
We always do that, and there'll be nothing politically correct tonight.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Or your money back.
That's it. Thought I'd start off with a couple of stories. Donald Trump, yeah, decides that we're going to boycott Starbucks over the Red Holiday Cup. You know, number one, Starbucks is wrong, as far as I'm concerned, and they're part of the problem. I'd never go to a Starbucks anyway, so I can't stand their coffee. And I think, you know, every intelligent consumer needs to evaluate their own actions without being led by a buffoon like Donald Trump that's masquerading as a cheerleader for decency. Well, running for the nomination for President of the United States. This is a presidential item that he's embarked upon.
What kind of cup they have for the Christmas season.
I'll tell you something. I can't believe that he couldn't find 1,000 more substantive subjects to get embroiled in.
If I have a beef with Starbucks, it's the price of their coffee.
Yeah.
Whoa. I think it's outrageous.
Whoa, I'm telling you. However, if you'll allow me, however, in a perverse sort of fashion, I applaud him for thumbing his nose at the whole PC crowd, who are all phonies.
That's right.
So, Donald, it's not presidential, not wild about it. There's a lot of other things I'd rather see you doing, but tip of the cap to you for saying, the heck with the PC phonies. Jeb Bush. You know,
good old Jeb.
We'll get to Jeb a little bit more later. But that question, you know, if there was such a thing as time travel and you could go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler?
Oh, God.
And he said, hell yes. Well, that's not presidential. I mean, that's visceral. But why couldn't he say, why are you setting me up with something like this?
Well, that's right.
This is, this is not really the kind of question you should thrust at.
No matter which way he answered that, he was going to get nailed.
How do you talk about killing the baby Hitler, but yet you want to stop abortion?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's analogous. It's so stupid. Just, Well, totally off the subject. I made a list of my favorite groups. And next time we get together, now that I've tipped my hand, we're going to make a list of our least favorite groups.
Groups?
Groups.
Oh, I got to come right off the top. I got a bunch of them.
And we'll do that. My favorite groups: veterans, the homeless, the disabled, the elderly, American Indians, policemen and firemen, hunters, trappers, and fishermen.
There you go.
So there's my list, folks, of my favorite groups. And if you fall into one of those groups, you're a lucky duck. If not, work harder at it.
That's right. Get to buy a fishing license.
Yeah. But next time we get together, I'm going to have my least favorite groups, and so are you.
Oh, you bet.
All right. I watched the debate the other night from start to finish.
I saw parts of it.
Um,
I fell asleep, woke up, watched it, fell asleep, woke up and watched it.
I found it riveting. Me and Harvey watched it together.
Okay. What do you think of it?
He slept through most of it, yeah.
Twitched his tail once in a while.
Yeah. So, let me ask you your impression of the top 10 Republican candidates. And this is just very unscientific.
Okay.
Very unscientific. And I want you to, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being highest, rate their suitability to be president. In other words, who would, in your estimation, make the best president?
Okay.
And number 2, on a scale of 1 to 10, who is the most electable? So let's start out with suitable. Let's start out with suitable for president.
Okay, suitable.
Christie.
Wait a minute, 8.
Okay. Donald Trump.
Suitable, 6.
Bush.
7.
Kasich.
5.
Rubio.
7.
Carson.
9.
Fiorino.
7.
Cruz.
6.
Paul.
4.
Romney.
9.
Now,
That's shooting them right off.
you're shooting them right off, and I'll tell you what. You and I agree on Christie, 8 to 8. And the others, I rate Kasich a little higher than you do. I have Rubio as a 10. Fiorino as a 1. Paul as a 0.
Okay.
And Romney as a 10. Now, electability. Now,
That's a different story.
different story.
Yep.
Christie.
I hate to say this, but he's probably only a 6 simply because he doesn't look like we expect the president to look.
But he sounds like
He sounds like
and he's
it.
aggressive.
Yeah, but
Yep.
he's
I know.
overweight.
Yep.
Good Lord.
You're right.
He's
6.
he's not a G.I. Joe looking.
I get him as a 7, you get him as a 6.
Yeah.
We agree. Trump.
On electability, what's this? Electability?
Electability. Whatever it's him
5.
being elected.
5.
5. Okay. Bush.
8.
Wow. Kasich.
6.
Rubio.
I think he'd be a 7. Yeah, I think
Carson.
he's going to have some problems. The obvious.
The obvious, yeah. Oh, no
It's
question.
going to carry over from this one we
Yep.
got. So I got to put him out at a 7. I think he's more than that, but it's unfortunate.
Fiorino.
4.
Cruz.
5.
Paul.
3.
Romney.
Again, he's more suitable than he's electable. Electable, I would say he's going to be a 6.
So you picked Jeb Bush as the most electable out of the crowd.
I think so.
Mostly
Mostly name recognition and
Yep.
lack of
and
scandal.
unfortunately, he's got W around his neck,
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
I had Rubio as the most electable. Romney I have as a 7 because he got beat last time. But
Yep.
suitability, I get Romney as a 10. Paul got double zeros.
Poor Paul.
And Cruz, 7 and 6. Ted Cruz is a smart guy.
Of course, they're all smart.
And I agree with a lot of the things Cruz is touting, but he does too much pit bull in him.
Yeah.
He gets angry
Yeah.
and
He's very short fused.
yeah, too much tea party.
Yep.
So when it gets down to it, if you were advising the Republican Party, who are the top 3 choices? You would say, look, here's 1, 2, 3, in no particular order, but these are the 3 that you should consider, and dump the rest of the damn lot.
The 3?
Yeah. In other words, who would you like to see continue along to wrestle for the nomination? Just 3.
Carson, Bush, and Christie.
Carson, Bush, and Christie. Okay, well.
I'd like to see Trump stand there just to keep everybody else irritated.
Yeah, but you know what? We just can't afford him to throw some more bombs in there. I don't think anyway, but.
Makes our shows interesting.
Yeah, it does. But and part of it, though, is he's been very good because he's saying, let's cut the BS.
That's
now,
right.
Let's talk like regular guys. I don't like you. I don't like your face or whatever. That was stupid. You never should have said that. But okay, you get Carson, Bush, Christie. I have Rubio, Romney, Christie. We both like Christie. I like him. He's a man's man.
Too.
I don't know how he does with the women, but he's a man's man. And the rest of them, drop out. Susie Welsh, Jack Welch's wife, was on Fox Financial this morning or yesterday afternoon. I forget. She said, if the Republicans were to ask me what to do next, she said, coalesce behind one candidate and forget about it. Make one guy the king right now and start campaigning.
Right now you're going every which direction.
Yep.
Every person.
So he said, the moderator said to her, who is your choice? She said, go get Mitt Romney and bring him in. She said, I talked to more people who say, I wished I had voted for Romney 4 years ago. What a mistake we made.
Yeah, that whole thing about being Mormon, that ship has sailed.
Yeah, it has.
That doesn't mean anything to
Doesn't mean a damn thing. No. And she really likes Chris Christie. And she said, 2 guys, she said, please, Kasich and Rand Paul, get out. She was very candid. Safety in schools is quite an issue. What did you think of that wrestling match between the cop and the girl that was acting up?
They
tackled her when she was in
the resource
chair.
officer had to come in and get her out. Well, if you looked at it for what you saw, it looks like it's over the top. If you saw the whole thing from the beginning, I think it would show a whole different story. Because the trouble with these things, they're edited.
Of course they are.
And they tell a whole different story.
If you heard what she said to the cop and what she said to the teacher, acting up in there and everything.
The assistant principal tried to get her out. She wouldn't do it. This was a last resort.
Yeah.
This guy just didn't walk off in from the hall.
And he's been asked to get in there and get her out of there.
Yeah, get her out.
Remove her. Well, I don't think he overstepped his bounds at all. He could have tried, I think, towing her out, chair and all.
That's what I said. Tow her out in the hallway and dump her in the hall.
Yeah, then do it out in the hallway, you know. But which brings up a much bigger subject, I think, safety in schools. There's no doubt that teachers have got a heck of a job on their hands. They're fighting students, acting out in violent manners. This is a national emergency, it seems to me. I mean, we're talking about our educational system and why it's underperforming and doing poorly, especially in some of the inner cities and all of that. But why is this happening? Our policy on the inner city as, a ghetto, really. it's the dumping ground strategy for teachers. You know, you don't do well, you're going to be consigned to the inner city to one of these slaughterhouses.
Madison Park.
Yeah. The breakdown of the family unit.
Yep.
I mean,
That's big. That's one of the biggest right there.
That's number one.
Yeah.
The black president who has wasted 8 years without having a racial series of discussions with the American public.
Yep.
Black leaders in black churches have failed miserably.
Completely failed.
Yep. And the way we handle the troublemakers in school with kid gloves. We've got to have order in school, not chaos. And that means getting tough with the criminals and the thugs disrupting the school system, and by their actions destroying any attempt at education.
Destroying everybody else's education in the meantime. Yep. It's either get out, just get out.
Get out.
I don't care where you go.
Yep.
Just get out.
Yep. Oh, but he's just a young man. He's acting out his frustrations, and oh, if you knew what his family life was like and all of that. But you can't allow him
to destroy everybody
to
else's.
keep throwing overshoes in Mother Murphy's chowder.
That's right.
Kinky Friedman, one of Imus's buddies,
Yep.
had a great one-liner this morning.
Yeah, I haven't listened to Imus for a long time.
Yeah. Presidents should be limited to 2 terms, one in the White House and one in prison.
We've had some that should have been.
Now, I want you to rave about chickens. Remember we talked about that last time? And you said, you know, if anybody ever understood what goes on in a farm, they'd realize how ridiculous this deal is about the chickens.
I told somebody, they said, wow, it's terrible. The chickens have to stay in those pens. I said, well, you know, a chicken doesn't have a social life. They're not out there anticipating going to the prom. They don't know anything except food and water and shelter if they're comfortable.
Them and turkeys are about the 2 stupidest things in creation.
They don't have a thought process saying, oh, I want to get out of this cage. I want to get out.
They're little heads in comparison to the bodies. There's not a lot of brain up there.
And as long as they're fed, they got water, they got protection from predators, they get a feeling of security, they would be comfortable sitting in a box the whole life. They don't have to go out walking around.
Now, what happens when they lay eggs on these free-range farms?
Oh, you don't half of them you don't find. They're free range. There's 3 types. They're cage-free, free range, and what's the other one?
Caged, I guess.
Yeah, caged. Yeah. When they're cage-free, that means they're just in a room.
Yeah.
They'll be in cage-free. And that room is probably packed so full that they can't get around anyway. And free range means that they can go outside and look at the stars and the moon and see what
walk off into the bushes.
Watch the coyote try to get them.
Yeah.
But they've all got the advantages or disadvantages as far as raising the chicken. But on cage-free, the eggs are probably any place in that. When I say room, I don't mean a room like this. I mean bigger, like big gymnasium,
size
bigger
of a football field.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, yeah.
And they're packed in there, they can't hardly move.
So how the devil do you walk through there without breaking all the eggs or stepping on chickens or whatever?
You don't get your egg production is not as good on that. But the problem with that too is communicable diseases. They pass stuff back and forth when they're all together like that because they're touching each other. Mm-hmm. And chickens, as cute as some people think they are, my wife hates them, so she doesn't think they're cute.
I like to taste them.
No, I like to taste them too. They are almost carnivorous. You got the A chicken, the B chicken, the C chicken. A will pick B, B will pick C, A and B will pick C. And it's a pecking order. That's where that term came from, pecking order. You get chickens in there, they got big holes pecked in them, where the other chickens are just pecking them apart. They're still alive, but they're just eating them, just literally eating them. It's one of the grossest things you've ever seen.
Yeah, but This is what the liberals want.
Yeah, that's what they want. They
Yeah.
want them to be able to pick each other to death.
Sure.
And then free range, that is so stupid. Oh, we want organic this and organic that and vegan this. Well, you can't have eggs with vegans, but organic this. There is no free range chicken that's an organic chicken. He eats bugs, worms, lizards if they can catch them.
Yeah. And not only that, but supposing that we fenced in an acre of land.
Yeah.
And we had 500 chickens. The next morning, when we go looking for eggs, how many eggs do you think we'd find? Half of them?
Probably. You'd eventually find most of them, but how long were they laying there?
Yeah. Yeah. And
How long in the summertime?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't take a dozen eggs. You'll buy a dozen eggs in the store and leave them sit in the car trunk for 3 or 4 days.
No.
But that's what free range eggs are going to be.
Yeah. That
you don't know how long they've been out there.
Nope. And not only that, but when your labor costs are going to go way up.
Oh, they skyrocket.
Because you're going to talk to, you got to hire people to walk around, look for here, over here. I mean,
they absolutely skyrocket.
yeah, it's going to take you 4 times as long to get a couple of dozen eggs as it would by the old.
Caged chickens use temperature control, moisture control. It's an ideal situation for them.
Yeah, so that we know our eggs are healthy, or as healthy as they can be.
Yep. And the chickens aren't being hurt.
No.
They just don't have what they call social freedoms.
Yeah, there's not too many chicken dances, are there?
No, there's not. There is a chicken dance, but that's not what we're going to.
Oh, but they don't go to social events.
No,
or,
the chicken up in here doesn't want to go down and see Molly down the other
yeah.
end.
This is really dumb.
It's stupid. It's going to raise the price of eggs.
Oh, well, 5 times over?
At least twice, maybe 3 times. Because here's what you got. You got people like in Maine, and there's some big producers up. The Costa's one.
The Costas, yeah.
The Big Costa. They're set up with a cage system. Now, if they can't ship their eggs to Massachusetts, to do that now, they'd have to redo their whole operation. Millions and millions of dollars just to produce the same amount of eggs, just a little different. I got a feeling that they're going to say, goodbye, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
We'll just not ship you any eggs.
Yeah, good luck on getting your eggs. And as a result, Saturday mornings, scrambled eggs and bacon, that's going to be a thing of the past.
Bacon?
Yeah.
What? You want to get
Not supposed
cancer?
to have that either.
My God, bacon, Bill.
It's like the old story about when they started putting artificial sweeteners in Coke. That causes cancer.
Yeah.
You have to drink, I think it was like 120 cans a day to get up to the dosage where it's a possibility of being a carcinogen.
So they said if you drank as much milk as you'd have to drink artificially sweetened soda to get where artificial soda is bad, by the time you drank that much milk, you'd have certain kinds of reactions to it that are just as bad.
Too much of
Anything.
Yeah. Moderation, folks. Moderation.
Well, you can still have 6 pieces of bacon, even under the guidelines.
Yeah. Well.
1 hot dog, though. I don't like that.
No, don't like the sounds of that at all. I always like to have 2 hot dogs with my beans.
At least 2 hot dogs. But it said, don't think you're going to get by with lower nitrates or natural nitrate. They use celery juice, and somehow celery juice does the same thing. Turkey bacon, turkey out of the deli, just as bad.
I don't know about you, but turkey hot dogs that's an abomination. If they were wonderful for your health, I still wouldn't eat the damn things.
I've said this for a long time. I have a reputation. We go to my son's house. He said we were cooking hot dogs and hamburgers. He says, "What do you want?" I says, "Are they real hot dogs or turkey hot dogs?" "Well, turkey hot dogs." I said, "Well, I'll have a hamburger." "Are they real hamburger or turkey hamburgers?"
Did you ever try any of the veggie burgers when they first came out?
Yeah, once.
My wife bought some. So let's try these, you know. They were 6 frozen patties.
Once.
Yeah, that's what I had. I had one once. Those were not good.
I don't know who got them, the squirrel or somebody got them outside. So.
Did they go over on their back with their feet up straight
No,
up
they
in the
weren't too
air?
crazy about them either.
Oh, boy. Well, Nancy Gertner is a retired federal judge here in Boston. And she has written an article in the Globe. And well, I'll read you a couple of things. Over a 17-year judicial career, I sent hundreds of defendants to jail, and about 80% of them received a sentence that was disproportionate, unfair, and discriminatory. Mass incarceration was not an abstraction to me. Sadly, I was part of it. Last weekend's release of 6,000 prisoners from federal prison is an encouraging start to reform, but it's only a start. And she goes on to say, my hands were tied. I had no way out of this, and when it's called for a 10-year prison term, I had to do it a 15 or a 20. That's it. That's what they got because I was the federal judge.
Yep.
And she didn't want, she actually says here too, I risked reversal by an appellate court that saw only sentencing calculations, not people. To say we treated human beings like numbers is not an overstatement. What mattered most was the quantity of drugs or how many guideline points were in their criminal record. What did not matter were facts like whether the defendant dealt drugs out of the car he was living in rather than dealing to buy a fancy car. What did not matter was whether his record was violent or just a collection of petty offenses. Family ties were not ordinarily relevant. Neither was drug addiction. Mental health issues were largely ignored. Factors everyone would agree are meaningful to determine culpability, even the risk of reoffending, were irrelevant. I don't know why she didn't resign and say, I can't do this. It is wrong. But she kept it on working.
Well, of course.
She kept a record, though, of everybody she sentenced, and she's got them all on spreadsheets and all of this. Did jail make a difference? Rarely. It hurt more than it helped. It was a waste of money and a waste of lives. It took bad guys and put them in jail away from us so they weren't doing bad things for us. So it helped in that regard.
It might have been a waste of his life, but it wasn't a waste of other people's that didn't get the consequences of his actions.
So now she wants this is good. The 2 law professors at Georgetown University have proposed a Marshall Plan for communities decimated by our failed war on drugs. Through the Marshall Plan after World War II, although So, she wants a Marshall Plan for the inner cities. A generation of African-American men are missing from their neighborhood's economic life, barred from federal aid, subsidized housing, and employment. They are silenced, unable to vote or to serve on juries. They made the decisions that caused these effects.
Those effects were not because they're African American.
That's right. Thoughtful people on all sides. This is good. have come to realize how woefully skewed our policies were, ill-befitting a great country. When I oppose mandatory minimums and onerous guidelines, when I work to get clemency from the men I sentenced, and when I write about it, it is not an abstraction. I know what it felt like to pronounce a heartbreaking sentence on a human being who did not remotely deserve it. I want others to feel it too. So she's going on a campaign to cure the ills of all of this.
Okay, having said all that, I hope she's got something or somebody has something in place to track these people.
Yep.
And how many of them and how long they take before they reoffend.
Well, it's not their fault if they reoffend.
Oh, baloney.
It's this horrible, degrading deal about being sent to prison. But they made the choices that got them sent to prison.
They get right out, they're going to start drug dealing again.
Yep. So
I don't think, see the days of some kid caught with a joint. That's nothing. It's the dealers that you want to go after.
Sure. And all of the dealers get a tap for the first two offenses.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like we're taking the cream of society and locking them away.
Bill, this is going to be a horror show.
It is. So, with that in mind, Nancy Gertner's column, I cut out from the last week and a half some stories. Let's see if these are the kind of people that Nancy wants to release. Well, but first of all, Haverhill reels from 5 ODs in a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
This drug business is real. It's out there. It's in our community here as well as everywhere else. Man charged with dragging 2 officers.
Yep.
Now, Gilbert, his name is, pleaded not guilty to charges of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon on a police officer, failure to stop for a police officer, negligent operation of a motor vehicle, resisting arrest, drug possession, and leaving the scene of the crime. He was racing around a neighborhood. Each one of the cops tried to go in one of the windows to get his keys.
Yep, he wouldn't shut the
motor
motor
off.
off.
So, this is interesting. He's being held in $50,000 cash bail. Nancy, would you like him to come and stay at your house?
That is a good solution.
Yeah.
If you think, these judges think that they're so innocent, if not innocent, they pose no threat. Maybe you could put them up in one of your spare bedrooms, because after all, they pose no threat.
Now, Bryant Gilbert seems like a pretty nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. He's on federal probation stemming from a 10-year prison sentence for cocaine possession. He was arrested in that case in 2005, and records show he has previous drug trafficking convictions in 1991, 1998, and 2004 out of Dorchester District Court and Suffolk Superior Court. His release from federal prison in May 2014, he has violated that probation 4 times.
Doesn't mean anything to him.
In June, Gilbert was arrested on suspicion of domestic violence after a former girlfriend alleged he pushed and shoved her, records show. The other violations were for not notifying probation officers of a change of residence, lying, and associating with persons previously convicted of felony without permission. Suffolk County Prosecutor Andrew Kettlewell said in court, Gilbert has a 13-page record.
Sure.
Is this the kind of guy that The next time we arrest him, Nancy says we've got to release him.
Guarantee it.
I say he goes in the slammer.
Yep.
Boston police arrest 2 with loaded handguns. A Boston police officer helped a struggling transit police officer wrestling with a teen suspected of carrying a loaded semi-automatic handgun. Well, this kind of went on, but they eventually took a loaded .38 automatic off the kid. And he's being held on $50,000 cash bail. Well, you say to yourself, now wait a minute. $50,000 cash bail? Oh, gee, you read a little further, and you find out that he resisted arrest, and also they suspected him of drug activity. They observed him walking to a driveway a few houses away where they conducted what police believed was a drug transaction.
Of course.
So is this one of these non-violent drug offenses?
According to her, it probably would be.
Then later on, they caught another kid, 20 years old, arrested him on unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of ammunition, and unlawfully carrying a loaded firearm. So we can't have stop and frisk laws on the books because the ACLU said that's not right. Because we're only discriminating against one group,
Yep.
the criminals.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
So should we release this kid?
Of course not, but
Ah.
there's an element out there where they would release them all.
Inmate already serving 2 years behind bars on a burglary conviction has been sentenced to 4 to 6 more years in prison for stabbing a man. The Salem News reported that 21-year-old Brock Fleming pleaded guilty to 3 counts of armed assault to murder, 3 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Prosecutors said Fleming stabbed his victim in Salem in June after doing drugs with the man and woman. Investigators said the stabbing was unprovoked. Now, is this one of these non-violent kind of guys?
Sure is.
Man gets 12 years on gun charges. A Massachusetts man has been sentenced to more than 12 years in prison after a plea agreement relating to gun and drug charges.
How can we have all these gun charges with all these tight, strict gun laws we have?
You know, it's hard to believe. But this young man, Roger Perkins, had $1,300 in cash, 63 grams of cocaine, 22 grams of crack, psychedelic mushrooms, and small amounts of Molly. They also found 100 razor blades, 4 firearms, and 2 scales.
There's a series on TV, I think it's on one of the Discover channels, called Drugs, Inc.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen any of them, watch them.
Yeah.
And each one follows a different aspect of a drug. It might be, marijuana is not so much, but it might be cocaine, heroin, Molly was on the other night. And they follow it back to the source where it's coming from. A lot of it's like Mexico or South America. And the characters that are in it and what they say, how they will stop at nothing. You want to buy, you don't pay, going to kill you. We'll probably kill your family in front of you first.
But non-violent.
Non-violent. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're extremely violent.
Well, here's another fellow here. A Brockton man's been sentenced to life in prison in connection with the 2011 drug-related shooting. This is good. The charge carries a mandatory life sentence with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Prosecutors said this fellow, Nathan Lugo, and 3 others planned to steal $1,200 worth of marijuana from McManus when Lugo shot and killed him in front of his. $1,200 they're willing to kill you for.
It doesn't matter. The gangbangers will kill you for wearing the wrong colored T-shirt.
But where does this judge get off
I know.
by lecturing us on every damn thing we do is wrong
Well,
when this is over and this is good. A Springfield man has pleaded guilty to 47 charges in several different cases stemming from car thefts and armed robberies. A judge said he had never seen a greater number of offenses in a single plea. He sentenced Morales to 10 years in state prison, followed by 3 years probation. Prosecutors said 34 of the counts involved stealing cars or objects from cars. This is, you ready for this next line?
I can.
Morales' lawyer said he committed the crimes to support his drug addiction. But the drug addicts, we're going to let them go because they're nonviolent.
Sure.
I wonder what the people that had their
Watch your
cars
stuff as soon as they
stolen.
get out.
Curry student out on bail after weapons charge.
Yeah, that character.
Yep. Boodoo Singh pled not guilty to all charges. He was found with a firearm and ammunition in his dorm room. He's 18 years old. According to the DA's office, they also found LSD, mushrooms, marijuana, acetaminophen or whatever with codeine, Vyvanse, a drug used to treat ADHD.
Maybe he was the acting pharmacist.
What? If this guy is...
He was a campus pharmacist. That's what he
if
was.
this guy is just peddling it on the campus,
Yep.
why does he have a gun and ammunition if he's nonviolent?
He's afraid that somebody else is going to be violent with him.
So he's going to
he's
strike
gonna
violence
first,
with violence, I see. Well, I don't know. I found those in a week or a week and a half.
It's every day sometimes.
It just doesn't make sense for her to make a blanket condemnation of all of our efforts to control crime. Now, if she wants to complain about addicts being convicted of drug possession or something like that, she's got a leg to stand on. But I got to tell you something. When you look at this, she doesn't have a leg in the world to stand on.
No.
Nothing.
But she is one of those liberal justices that think that society is the fault of everything. There's always this, blame it on society.
And
it's
when
the system.
she speaks,
Yeah.
we're supposed to listen, genuflect, and then go about our business.
But what she doesn't want to admit, she is part of that system. That's failing.
She was part of the problem.
Yep, exactly.
She never once in her 17 years on the bench said, this is baloney.
Yep.
It is wrong. I resign.
No.
No.
They don't do that.
She correct right on going down, collecting her $175,000 a year, whatever the hell they pay.
I have a
these
question for
people.
you.
Yeah.
Go to switch gears down to Louisiana. The 6-year-old boy that got shot.
Yeah.
Where is Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton? They haven't made a peep out of this because the 2 officers were black and the victim was white. And they shot that kid, from what I've read, There was just no reason. They got the father standing with his hands up. He's not resisting. He's got no warrants, nothing. I don't even know why they stopped him. And they opened fire and killed that kid sitting in the car seat.
Awful lot more to that story than
Gotta
meets
be.
the eye.
Yeah.
Where was Jesse and Sharpton in New York when the black cop was ambushed and killed?
That's right. He didn't show her up.
No, a sort of selective outrage
Oh,
they have. Wow. And I've got some sort of general kind of stuff.
I got a few here too. Did you read Jeff Jacoby's column the other day about TSA?
I think I did, yeah.
It is scary.
Very scary.
If you think, what does he call this? It's a safety show put on to make you feel good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do anything. It's not effective. They can't catch anything. They can't do anything. They're just worthless. Of the, I forgot what it was. Anyway, it was out of 67, I think 67 times when they tried to, investigators would sneak a gun or a piece of explosive through to see how many they get caught. 65 of them got through. They caught 2. And then there were the blatant ones with the wires hanging out the side of the suitcase.
Unbelievable.
They just didn't care.
This TSA is the biggest ripoff in the
It
world.
is. It's absolutely a boondoggle. There's no indication they've ever caught a terrorist, or foiled a 9/11 type plot. Never, ever.
Speaking of terrorists and plots, what did you think about the Russian airliner?
Well, I think that Russia didn't want to admit at first that there was security breaches, and I think that they're going to have a dog in the fight now.
I think so too. And this is a terrible thing, but it shows how many gaps there are. Now, they claim that thing was mounted close to an engine. So someone just didn't walk out there and go, and then run away.
No. I think our security on the tarmacs is not completely. You can't make it 100%, but it's fairly good. But some of the foreign, they're just, it's wide open.
I suspect that the ISIS, now they claim responsibility for this. They claim they did this.
They did it. It's us.
And this was because the Russians are flying sorties
Correct.
against their fighters in Syria. Well, I suggest that they may have opened Pandora's box because the Russians do not play footsie.
No, they don't.
No, in fact, when I was in the service, I was having a few beers with a guy, and he said my brother is in intelligence, and he said, do you recall, he said, maybe not. He said, maybe you never read about it. But there was a assistant ambassador, under ambassador, who was kidnapped in the Middle East by some terrorists. And the Russians, it was a Russian undersecretary, under ambassador. And so the Russians just went to the country's ambassador that it happened in, where the terrorist group was centered, and they kidnapped the ambassador, cut him up into little pieces, put him in a suitcase, and sent him to the ambassador's office.
Yeah, they don't fool around.
No, they don't. And I'll tell you what, if it comes out that ISIS did this, and they certainly are taking the credit for it, they're going to find that the Russian bear has teeth.
Yeah, oh yeah. Hell and high water's coming down on them.
And they are ruthless. And there's a lesson here for that adventurer that we have in the White House. When you are struck, you strike back 5 times harder.
Yep.
He doesn't seem to understand that. He wants
doesn't
to
understand
talk
that.
about that.
Yeah.
And we'll take it to the United Nations and
That's-
World Court at The Hague.
Yeah, you knew there was something going on when the Russians invite the FBI into the investigation.
This
Because
thing,
normally they would not ever want anybody else looking into this thing.
this thing could have some accidental watershed events. Some things could happen here that no one could have predicted. But this may even put the Russians and the U.S. on the same side over there against ISIS, because the Russians have got a lot of Muslims in their countries and their breakaway republics that they still have a lot of sway
It's
over.
an interesting point. Yesterday at the Veterans Breakfast, I sat with Ross Poppendinger, the lieutenant colonel. That's exactly what we were talking about. The consequences of this bombing of the Russian
The
airliner.
law of unintended consequences
Yep.
could well bite ISIS right in the ass.
That's what he said. Not that so many words, but
Yeah. Well, officers aren't allowed to say words like that. But if ISIS thought that they were going to bring the Russians to their knees, and the Russians would say, "Oh, okay, look, we'll go home and we won't mess in Syria anymore." What are they, nuts? We know the answer to that, though, don't we? They are. They must have sort of associated the Russians with the U.S.
they made a big mistake.
Hard to believe. More women are moving back with their parents.
I saw that this morning in the paper.
Yeah. And I guess a lot of it's got to do with they're putting off marriage. They're attending college, and they're facing high living
finances,
expenses.
Sure,
It just makes sense.
it does. Well, it is if you can.
And I think it's a good thing. And they can lend a hand around the house, take care of their folks as they age, and
There's
it's
nothing
a
wrong.
win-win.
There's nothing wrong with
Nothing wrong with that at all. I agree with you. 9 hours.
it. My son couldn't wait to get out of the house.
Yeah, I know. It's different strokes for different folks. You know, my brother couldn't wait to get out of the house, and I stayed home till I was 30. So who knows?
He graduated from college, and 3 weeks later, he's got his roommates all lined up, and they're moving to an apartment in Brighton. So
Bingo.
bingo, go. Just now, he's just, 20 years later, come back and get your stuff. It's still there.
Study. Teens spend much of their awake time watching TV or listening to music. 9 hours a day.
Yep.
You believe that?
Oh yeah, I don't think kids can interact anymore
They
with
can't.
somebody else, with another human being. They got to either with their iPhone, their iPad, I don't know what some of this stuff is.
I agree with you. It's madness, but boy, I didn't know it was that bad. To admit to defrauding the food stamp program at a convenience store in Lawrence.
You don't suppose that
Yeah.
happens?
They-
Didn't we get these new cards or something?
No, this is the
Didn't
federal
Patrick
food
tell us that this was going to be
stamps,
just about?
They managed to defraud the government of $1.5 million through one store in Lawrence. Can you imagine how much the total is that the government is on?
This program's like a sieve.
Man alive. Disabled may pay more for van rides. Now that's really just what we want to do. Let's take advantage of the disabled and let's hose them. If there's anything stupider than we could do, bring it on.
Yeah.
Show it to me.
Oh yeah, it's just dumber now.
God almighty.
It's like, was it National Grid wants to raise their rates 6% because of inflation. Now, how much inflation did we get on our Social Security check? Nothing, because there was no inflation,
Yep.
according to them.
And the other, the new Eversource.
Eversource, yeah.
They're going to want to drop at 19.
Yeah, drop down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 3.
I'm going to skip this one because, well,
We're up 3, Bill.
Warren seeks to
3.
aid elders.
Okay.
That's what we need is some more people on our side.
Yeah.
The elders are getting hosed. And I hope I'm on her side with this. Old Granny Warren and I are on the same side.
Good for you.
Yep. I'm going to skip to this one because this drives me absolutely nuts. Look at the size of that story. About a turtle that washed up on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We have all kinds of tragedies going on in this country, in this state. We have murders, we have child abuse, we have babies dying, we have all kinds of problems. Look at this. Look at the size of that article about a turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
It gets better. Look at this one about a shark.
yeah.
A shark washed up on the shore. By the way, folks.
And they want to find out why it died.
Yeah.
Well, its heart stopped beating. That's why
That's
it died.
right. And it washed up. It ain't alive no more.
I think they got a heart. I'm not sure.
Sometimes, yeah. But, friends, don't think of us as heartless. Turtles are prehistoric animals.
That's right.
They have been dying for millions of years. And we spend this much talking about it when there's so many more important things to talk about. This is nonsense. Sharks have been dying since time immemorial.
Look at all the resources, not just the putting it to paper.
Yeah.
Look how many people are involved in that right there.
Oh, yeah.
And well-educated people.
Yeah.
Well,
A great white shark, 12 feet long, washed up on the shore. So, holy cow, give me a break.
I'd rather see them wash up on the shore than swimming around my feet, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. But they sink to the bottom all over the world.
Of course.
And nobody thinks anything of it. But boy, one comes, anyway. My friends, I just got the signal that we have rattled through another hour.
Happy trails signal.
So, we thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll be back in another fortnight with even more unbelievable subjects to broach.
Email us if you got any ideas. If you don't have emails or don't have any ideas, email us anyway.
Or send money in a plain brown paper bag with a note inside.
We don't care the denomination.
Nope. But clean bills. Don't send us old wrinkled dirty bills.
No.
So, with that, I want to wish you all a very, very pleasant good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That's it. Done it again.